coming. I'm Lauren Hall, CEO and founder of Ivy. For those of you in the audience, please raise your hands. Who is venues? Anybody here who is a venue? Who are meeting planners here? Okay, what are you? What do you do? Hotel. 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 Great. Okay, language. Okay. So as you guys may know, one of the most important things today, and I think as you see along the hotel industry, is about the customer journey, creating better experiences for that customer. And typically in the meetings and events industry, it hasn't been dealt with very well. My background, having been involved in the events industry for 15 years, I sat on the other side of the table of being one of those people having organized events, large, local, and international. And I sat on that process going through a really, really terrible step-by-step process. As earlier mentioned with Kyron, same thing. The process is manual, labor-intensive, really frustrating. And there's reasons why that process is frustrating, and that typically falls in the hand of the hotels. So talking a little bit about the events industry, we know that it covers everything from small meetings to large events, conventions, exhibitions. It's not limited to just a small event being meetings. It's meetings, events, incentives, conferencing, and exhibitions. It covers everything from large corporates to small organizations to independent professional conference organizations. And what's interesting is when you start to look at the stats that over 100,000 events take place every single day. Now, when you start to equate how big that is, well, it's $1 trillion industry forecasted by 2023. It's enormous. And when you start to really understand the problem, which really sits in the hands of the venue, where more than 40% of a hotel's business sits in the meetings and events and groups business. And yet the problem hasn't been dealt with in a manner that allows online connectivity and real-time access to inventory rates and availability. So having sat on the other side of the table, that was probably one of the reasons why I developed Ivy. It was a platform there to be able to understand the existing pain points that everybody felt. It was time-consuming, labor-intensive, and why? Typically because the venues sat with either legacy systems or no systems. That was managing their function space, group accommodation, yielding, pricing, availability, rates, and inventory. It did not exist. There'd be legacy systems like opera sales and catering systems, Delphi sitting on premise, or generally manually systems where things were just not available or in the cloud. This ultimately led to even an organization taking, for small meetings, could take up to 6 hours just to engage a venue, but ultimately 6 weeks to really plan and manage that event. I think it's really important that we've established significantly what the problem is. It's time, it's money, it's the cost of human capital. So 95% of all RFPs and inquiries that go to venues are manual. Okay? And that is now changing. That landscape of the meetings industry is now changing. Can take up to 6 hours for somebody to be able to just engage a venue, to be able to get access and to be able to get a quote from a venue. And that's if a venue is willing to respond. So typically the event organizer, they're going to search and look for multiple quotes from different venues within the areas. If they're looking for New York, if they're looking for Malaysia, if they're looking in China, what they're looking for, the first question that an organizer wants to ask, are you available on the day I want you? If I'm looking for a venue in Singapore for 500 people on the 18th to the 20th of November with 3 breakout rooms, $100 a head, and I don't want prawns on the menu, I want to be able to access that instantly. The first most important thing about the customer is giving them the information up front when they're ready to make a buying decision. If you are not online and you are not accessible and you cannot answer that question, you've lost the ability to engage that customer quickly and convert that business into real tangible value. So we've seen in the industry that venues, as at minimum, take anything between 24 hours to 19 days to respond to an inquiry, if at all. And that's pretty scary. You can understand why the customer experience for somebody trying to organize an event is actually so poor, because the response times, the qualifying process of that lead, and the conversion of that lead is actually very, very minimal. So we currently have seen stats in the market, and this is for thousands of venues that use our systems, that on average there's been originally 2 out of 10 quotes actually convert. Now, when you start to look at that for venues, that means it's a really high cost of human capital. Lots and lots of manual work, sending out quotes, which only possibly between 2 to 3 actually convert. That is a 29 to 30% conversion rate. So what's really important, some of the stats that we found, 35% minimum of hotels' inventory sits in groups and meetings. That's an enormous amount of revenue that is generally and potential that has not yet really been monetized in a proper way. We've also seen that group business, 60% of all the group business that's actually brought to hotels is driven by third parties, i.e. venue finders, distribution platforms, travel management companies, all of those that actually now say listing directories that will bring that inquiry. And therefore, also, what hotels are doing is they're paying up to 35% commission that is being for that cost of piece of business. We also know that more than 83% of the people today are actually shopping on mobile. That is enormous. Now, every time somebody is actually engaged on mobile, we can see through the statistics that out of the behavior, that they are more likely to be able to make a booking when available online. So what's really important as part of budgets, there's a big squeeze on budgets from a consumer side. There's a margin squeeze from venues. There's a more and more push for people to be able to have digital solutions that are driving lower acquisition costs and the need and the ability to be able to connect in a real-time environment. So the world has changed as we know it. We live in this age where people want instant access to things that we know. You can do it for Airbnb, you can do it for Expedia, and you can do it for Uber. So rides, flights, and car hire. But like much said, you've never been able to do it for meetings and events. Until now. So Ivy, we have been in the market for nearly 9 years, building enterprise SaaS solutions, powering the venues' live availability rates and inventory, connecting it to our marketplace to then drive live availability booking capability for the consumer. This has been such an important part of the journey because everybody has been approaching the problem differently. Some people that are trying to digitize meeting space and event space work top down. We've actually worked bottom up. Our goal was to be able to build solutions that would manage the entire process for hotels, connect to their CRS and PMS, become their booking engine, and drive their distribution, revenue growth, and profitability. So what would generally take for a small meeting 6 hours can now actually be done live in 6 minutes. And what would normally take event organizers, honestly, 6 weeks of backwards and forwards negotiating between venues and working out which piece of business would be the best to be able to take, could now be done in an enormously time-saving less than 2 minutes. So, as I said, a lot of people are looking at digitizing the MySpace now. Our approach was different. We decided to work from the bottom up. So any of you here know Sabre? Raise your hands. Okay. Sabre and Amadeus in the travel industry digitized travel. Okay, it took nearly 25 years to be able to provide the live connectivity of hotels to then push it out to online sites so people could search, compare, book, and pay in real time. The limitations to the GDS is the fact that you are limited by the number of rooms that you can book, up to 9 FIT. What couldn't be done based on this methodology was groups. And there's reasons why that couldn't be done. The limitations sitting in the CRS level really held ransom hotels to be able to actually manage group allotments, pricing, and yielding. So what was really important for Ivy is we took the approach in order to solve the problem of groups and to be able to manage the venue's live connectivity, we built enterprise software as a sales and catering system to manage the venue from all of the inquiry to lead to conversion, contracting, banqueting, event orders, full yield management, group accommodation, pricing, revenue, year-on-year pace. That is really important to venues to understand how to determine the piece of business that is important to them, to create an easy process for people to be able to manage profitability, but also to take what would normally take days and weeks for people to respond to that quote, to be able to take it to less than 2 minutes. Now, when you look at the cost savings and efficiencies of human capital, it is enormous. What we've also done is by building all the software, we haven't only just built the software for venues, we have built the time and inventory-based software solutions for every single supplier within the events ecosystem. As you know, with every single event, you don't just have a venue. You have caterers, you have entertainers, you have speakers. You have all of the ecosystem that has been left outside of the loop that is still very manual. And our goal, being working in the future, is to be the GDS of meetings and events, much like Sabre and Amadeus is to the events, to the travel industry. And we're well on our way. So because we've worked with thousands of hotels over the last 9 years, we've now built our aggregator and distribution engine. We actually power travel management companies, American Express, Flight Centre, HRG. We now connect them to their thousands of corporate customers, which is really important for every single venue, because if you want that customer, it is important to become part of the IV distribution channel once we power you from the ground. We also have a live marketplace, which is the live search, book and pay capability for consumers that are now shopping from leisure, FIT, and corporate. And I'll share some very, very interesting stats with you shortly. We also are the hotel booking engine and venue booking engine on every single, over 25,000 hotel sites, okay? We have managed to be able to help connect through central res, PMS, point of sale, through all the revenue management tools to become that highly connected engine that help you manage your venue. We also power venue finders with live availability. My goal from the beginning has to be bring this industry together, because everybody acts in isolation of each other. Hotels independently, they're always looking for distribution. There's more than enough money on the table to work together and to solve it. So our ability is to be able to provide live availability into venue finders and to help drive distribution and conversion for venues. Additionally, we power corporate platforms, particularly around corporate compliance, spend management. So every single major corporate client you may potentially have can have preferred inventory, rank based on price, relationship, time, inventory, spend, price. It's got all those algorithms built in to be able to allow you to be able to get the best value and still maintain a really, really good relationship with your corporate client. So IV's goal is we are the end-to-end technology toolset for venues, for meeting planners, and for suppliers. That's what makes IV really, really different. Our approach was build 3 enterprise applications. We started by building meetings technology for event organizers that manage registration sites, ticketing, accommodation, managing all your travel management, marketing, communications, floor planning, everything that an event organizer would need to manage an event. Then we spent 4 years building all of the venue technology to connect the live availability to that buyer. And last but not least, as we did with the supply chain, we then connected everything through the marketplace to then become the single source platform that can bring together this highly fragmented and disparate market, and then truly enable live availability of function space, group accommodation, and F&B. Now that makes a huge difference. It's not just meeting space. It is taking a ballroom that can be calculated into 3 different breakout rooms that enables to price, yield, and determine the most profitable piece of business for you to take. When we created the event management software, it was really key for us to know that we could actually give them everything that they needed, as well as integrate your live availability of FIT accommodation so that they could automatically build their room listings capability and to be able to manage everything that they needed in one single technical tool set. On our venue management software, this is the type of tool you'd see, which is a full hotel CRM, live calendar diary, your full invoicing and payments platform. It's your entire integrated solution that starts to manage all of your revenue, as well as your complete direct booking engine. The difference is we're not just an integrated engine, we actually are the engine. The key to our success is providing the inventory systems to all of venues around the world to help bring this together. So we're fully integrated into all of PMS, CRS, providing into POS systems so that your point of sale, master bills and collections is a single source payment process. The group booking website is really an important part. We found incredible analytics. We've taken conversion rates that sat at an average of 29% and increased that by more than 48% for venues, driving an enormous uplift in revenue. This is really an important part of venues now becoming digital and being part of really improving that customer journey. Now imagine how good it is where a customer can now search, compare, book and pay instantly, get the answers, pull off, which is one of probably the most powerful parts of Ivy from a consumer perspective, is the ability to add a breakout room, the ability to take off prawns on the menu, add beef, and it recalculates it instantly. The amount of time that is spent going backwards and forwards between venues, negotiating the contracts and the changes in menus is enormous. This can be done instantly up front before final bookings and completion can take place. The supplier side does the same thing, so every single hotel that may have preferred suppliers like AV companies, entertainers that are part of them, decor companies, we can build the ring of your supply chain to automate your entire buying process as well, bringing the layers and layers together of connectivity that has been non-existent for a very long time. This is the Ivy Marketplace, which you'd be able to see now, the single one-stop shop, which will have everything, not just venues, but the entire supply chain. I thought this would be an interesting slide to share with you because this has been some of the insights that have really forced us to build our systems as a 24-hour sales engine. Over 45% of the buyers that have come through our marketplace have been women between the ages of 25 and 35. We know that the corporate buyer, leisure and travel, is a female. We also know that 42% of our customers have been shopping on mobile, and 83% of them made a booking, which says that ultimately, if you're not responsive, online, and in all the channels that people are ready to make a buying decision, you have the ability to lose that potential opportunity. And over 58% of them were shopping between 6 and 12 at night, when no venue has somebody to respond to that RFP. And that is one of the key areas that show people don't want to talk to somebody, they want to instantly shop, they want to be able to make a purchasing decision, and you can't wait for you to have somebody on site. So ultimately, the best and most important part of that is provide them live availability, ability to book based on the rules of engagement that you set. The most important thing about venues and the way we've built our systems is you control your rates, your inventory, the payment processes, the ability to book or to hold it and still negotiate the deal. And that is something that is really important because there's a fear factor of change around competitive availability of inventory now online. This is something that you can control completely, and on top of it, distribute your inventory in the channels that you want your spaces to be visible. What we also found is that part of the venues received a 48% increase in conversion. That's enormous when you're running across hundreds of hotels within a single group. What makes Ivy, from a venue's perspective, really powerful is we actually are the central res system. We're a highly multi-tenanted environment that runs across major global data centers in every country. And what we found is the fact that once you are connected with all the group reporting in a single tool, you can make buying decisions and selling decisions of your underutilized assets quickly and actually increase your profit enormously. 75% of proposals are being won within the first 5 properties to respond. Now, these type of analytics are the things that actually change you as operators, okay, within the space to become digital and to improve that customer experience. And what we found is that the process from taking an inquiry to quote to sale was less than 2 minutes, which normally could take you 24 hours to 3 days just to quote out. So what we found was that Ivy's booking engine reduces the cost of acquisition and improves bottom line performance across the board. Now that we have live inventory, we also serve that up to all the big players in the travel management market and large booking engines so that we can actually bring together this highly fragmented market. And we work with these major large organizations on a global basis, and I will continue to do that as we expand globally. This is just a little window into our world, to some of our customers. We cover everything from the corporate market on our meeting side to all the venue side, managing live availability, working on different layers and integrations with us. So where are we going? Well, I'm one of those people that are fearlessly determined to change the world, and my goal is global. We're currently in 13 countries. We have 5 global offices around the world. We're starting Asia now, which is our first step in, and we have 53 staff, and we're really excited. My goal is bring this really highly fragmented industry together, to work together to change the industry, and to be able to really provide and empower the communities that are working in this space, and to be able to drive a value chain of innovation and automation into this world. So I like to ask, I call it one engine, your event, your venue, let's play. It's all about working together to make a world of difference. And I'd like to open the floor to any questions that you may have. Questions? Excited? You're going to see 3 presentations from Kieran, myself, and Jonas. Okay, we are all talking about the same thing. We are all driving change in the market. We are all about digitization of meeting space, and all of you are going to sit here and say, well, who do I choose? Because it's the 3 of us in the market. Meeting's broken, no, you're second. Ivy's first. No, as I said to you, what's really important is we work from the ground up, and we are the sales and catering system that sits at venues. We are the revenue management system. We are the integrated solution for operators, and we can connect to Meeting Broker, and we can connect to Jonas's and Meeting Package, because that's the view. As a GDS, our goal is work together and be agnostic, and to help venues monetize their underutilized assets. Thank you so much for your time. Yes, question? When you see Ivy's system, the sales and catering system, you would want to throw it in the bin, because theirs. And whether you're on Delphi, it's a huge issue. If you're on FDC? Okay, on the old version. Okay. Okay. No, when you see what Ivy does in the entire automation piece, Delphi does not compete. Okay, it's truly this. You're future-proofing your business. You need to be online. You need to be able to manage that all together, and that's what we're doing, and we're helping venues do it. So we'd certainly love to talk to you about how we can help you do that and replace Delphi, because I'm going head-to-head with Amadeus. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, for your time. Jonas, it's over to you.